Hello. Good morning, everyone. I was just reading one of my favorite picture books from this past year's Best of the Best list, Brick by Brick. Well, my name is Aldo, and I work at the Harold Washington Library Center in downtown Chicago. And today, on Second Saturday, we're celebrating the Best of the Best books from 2020. So each year, a team of CPL librarians evaluates this year's new books and selects the best books for Chicago's kids. So today we're going to show you some of those books through story times and some really fun activities. We also have two very special local guests on today's show who worked on some of our previous Best of the Best titles. So I'm just going to quickly run through today's programs and segments. We're going to start things off with a story time with Miss Maria and Miss Shiloh. And then Miss Shiloh is going to show us the new Legler Regional branch, give us a really cool virtual tour. We are also going to be joined by Cozbi A. Cabrera, who's an illustrator who also lives in Chicago. And we will also take a trip to the Woodson Regional Library. And Miss Tamala and Miss Leslie Brown has a really fun STEAM activity waiting for us at the Woodson Regional branch. And then Miss Liv is going to talk about a few Best of the Best titles from 2020 and previous years. And then we have another very special guest, illustrator Jacqueline Alcántara will be joining us as well. And we'll wrap things up with a really fun STEAM activity with Mr. John, who will be teaching us how to make bridges. With all the snow outside today, I think it's a really perfect day to cozy up with a good book. You can find a link to the entire list in the comment section. And please, we encourage you to comment throughout the show. We can pull up your comments on screen, just like this. So there's Christina popping the link in the comments. So please comment throughout the show. We love to see comments from families at home. I want to say hi to everyone. And yeah, cozy up. This is a great book, or this is a great day. Oh, look, my mom said hi. Hi, Mom. But yeah, today will be a great day to read some stories and do some activities inside with all the snow outside. So first, we're going to kick it over to my friend Maria, who's in Thomas Hughes Children's Library right now. So I'll go ahead and bring up Maria.
Hi, Aldo. Thank you for having me here for Second Saturday, Best of the Best. I am Miss Maria, as Mr. Aldo said, and I work at the Thomas Hughes Children's Library. Now, I'm really excited because I'm going to share with you a book titled Federico and the Wolf by Rebecca J. Gomez, illustrated by Alyssa Shavari. That's the story I'm going to share with you. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little rhyme with you about wolves, since there's a wolf featured in our story today. So this is called Five Little Wolf Pups. So let's go ahead and count our 5 little wolves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ready? Here we go. We're going to bring them down as we say our rhyme. 5 little wolf pups were playing in the sun. This one saw a rabbit and he began to run. This one saw a butterfly and he began to race. This one saw a cat and he began to chase. This one tried to catch his tail and he went round and round. This one was so quiet that he didn't make a sound. And that is our 5 little wolf pups. So let's go ahead and share Federico and the Wolf by Rebecca J. Gomez, illustrated by Alyssa Shavari. And this is being read by permission from Clarion Books. And what's really exciting about this book is that we have some Spanish words in it. And for the first time this year, we actually have a Best of the Best list that's completely in Spanish, libros en español. So look for that one. Let's go ahead and get started. Once upon a modern time, a boy named Federico left to buy ingredients to make the perfect pico. Cuidado called his mother as he pedaled towards the shops. Mind abuelo's grocery list and don't make other stops. Past the buildings, cars and cabs, young Federico scurried until he reached the marketplace where people browsed unhurried. He filled his basket on his bike with romas, herbs, and limes, jalapenos, onions, and packs of Anaheims. He added garlic pickles, bread, and other market goods, then paddled through the city park and deep into the woods. A fallen branch had blocked the path, so Rico stopped his ride. With steady force, he pushed and budged the barrier aside. Hola, called un lobo, catching Rico unaware. I see you've packed a hefty lunch. You got some grub to spare? Sorry, Lobo, Rico said. I must be on my way. I have to be at Grandpa's shop by 12 o'clock today. Federico grabbed his bike and left the wolf behind. Little did he know the wolf had other plans in mind. La tienda was deserted. Rico listened, not a sound. The sign said closed, and what were those? Some paw prints on the ground? Federico peeked inside, alarmed by what he saw. A figure waved him over with a large and furry paw. Abuelo, whispered Federico, pulling off his hood. Yes, it's me, but I can't see. Come closer, if you would. I think you need a shave. Your beard is grown so thick. You think so, said El Lobo. Steady grooming does the trick. Your arms have gotten grande. My new workouts made me strong. New dentures, too. They help me chew because they're sharp and long. By now the wolf was drooling, all his chatter's getting old. I'm hungry, bub, I need some grub before I pass out cold. Okay, said Rico, let me see. I brought your favorite treats. Whole grain bread and a cabbage head, a jar of pickled beets. El Lobo's nose began to twitch. Mi niño, here's the deal. Set those yucky things aside, and I will make you my meal. He bounded from La Silla with a grunting, growling shout. But Rico tossed some chili powder straight into his snout. The wolf inhaled, he sniffed, he snuffed. He itched and twitched and wheezed. He tried to wipe his drippy nose, but he sneezed. Federico ducked and dashed and rummaged through his sack. Not so fast, you tasty tyke. I haven't had my snack. But Rico's quickly plotted when the wolf's mouth opened wide. He grabbed un habanero and jammed it deep inside. El Lobo gulped, he gagged and coughed, his ojos blazed bright red. Steam was puffing out of his ears. I need to dunk my head. He hurried through the puerta with shrieking, gasping screams and dashed as fast as he could go toward the distant stream. Ayuda, cried Abuelo from inside a bolted box. Rico found them safe and snug in just his shorts and socks. Gracias, he scrambled out with shouts of pride and joy. I thought the wolf would do us in, but you prevailed, my boy. They cleaned the mess and Gramps got dressed, then shared a bit of lunch. How about we make a sauce that packs a perfect punch? They chopped and diced and would use lots of spice and simmered sauce all night. Then bottled their concoction, Wolf's Bane Salsa, extra bite. And what's great about this book is that we actually have the recipe for the perfect pico in the back, and all the Spanish words that were used have definitions as well. So that was Federico and the Wolf by Rebecca J. Gomez and illustrated by Elisa Chavari. And now I'm going to share another story with a wolf. This next story is about the 3 little pigs and the big bad wolf. Once there were 3 little pigs. 1, 2, 3. and it was time for them to go out into the world and make their own way. And so they went out into the world, and the first thing they did is they built the houses where they would live. The first little pig built his house of straw. The second little pig built his house of sticks. And the third little pig built his house using bricks. Now, in that same forest where those three little pigs lived, there also lived the big bad wolf. Now, this big bad wolf was hungry, and he wanted to have pig for lunch. So he found the first little pig in his house made of straw, and he knocked on the door. And he said, little pig, let me in. And that little pig said, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. And the big bad wolf said, then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow the house down. And you guys can help me from home. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down. So that little pig ran out of his house from the back, and he went to the house made of sticks. So the big bad wolf followed those pigs until he found the second house. And he knocked on that door. And he said, little pig, let me in. Well, the little pig looked at him and said, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. And so that big bad wolf said, then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. And you guys can help me again. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down. And that little pig ran as fast as he could until he went to the house made of brick. So now the three little pigs were with their other brother in that house. That big bad wolf followed them as far as he could go, and he saw them, and he knocked on that door. And he said, little pigs, let me in. And they said, not by the hair on our chinny chin chin. So that big bad wolf said, then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow the house down. And so that's what he did. And we can do it together. Ready? He huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed. But that house would not come down. It was made of brick. That big bad wolf was mad because he was hungry, and he started talking to himself. I'm going to climb in that chimney, and I'm going to go down there and get those little pigs. Well, the little pigs heard what the big bad wolf was saying. And so they built a fire in the fireplace. They put a pot of water inside of it, and they started to heat it up. When that big bad wolf came down the chimney and landed in that pot of water, it was so hot he jumped out and ran out of the house and never bothered those three little pigs again. And from that day on, the three little pigs, pig 1, pig 2, and pig 3, lived together happily in that house made of brick for the rest of their lives. And that big bad wolf never bothered them again. And that's the story of the three little pigs. How I tell it, it's a little bit different than the traditional story. And now I'm super excited that I get to introduce you to one of my best friends. That's Miss Shiloh at the Legler branch, who will be sharing another Best of the Best story, as well as give you a tour of her brand newly remodeled branch. So before anything else, let me introduce you to Miss Shiloh. Hi, Miss Shiloh.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I want to thank Miss Maria for introducing me and for that wonderful story time. My name is Miss Shiloh, and I am the regional director at Legler Regional Library. But I will always be a children's librarian at heart. And I'm so excited to be here on Second Saturday because Second Saturday is one of my family's favorite events at CPL. And I'm even more excited to share with you one of my favorite books from Best of the Best, Outside In by Deborah Underwood with illustrations by Cindy Derby. And this book also won a Caldecott honor this year. which is so exciting. That is like one of the best things ever. But before we share our book, I wanted to do a little rhyme with you. Now, Inside Out is kind of about nature, but it's also about opposites. So we're going to do some opposites. This is big. Ooh, can you show me really, 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 really big? And this is small, 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 small. This is short. Can you scratch down and be really short? And this is tall. Be really tall, stretch way up high. And this is fast, 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 fast. And this is slow. This really slow. This is yes. Yes, I can. And this is no. Nice job, everybody. So I'm going to read Outside In. And again, this is by Deborah Underwood with illustrations by Cindy Derby. Outside In. Once we were part of outside, and outside was part of us. There was nothing between us. Now, sometimes even when we're outside, like riding in a car, we're inside. We forget outside is there. So outside reminds us. With flashes at the windows and slow magic tricks. The butterfly is coming out of its chrysalis. It's a monarch butterfly. It sends the sunset and shadows inside to play. Outside sings to us with chirps and rustles and taps on the roof. It beckons with smells, sun-baked, fresh, and mysterious. Outside feeds us. Sun, rain, and seeds become warm bread and berries. Can you smell the warm bread baking? Outside cuddles us in clothes, once puffs of cotton. It holds us in wooden chairs that were once trees. You see the tree in the shadow? We feel outside in the warm weight of our cats and the rough fur of our dogs. Outside shows us there is a time to rest and a time to start fresh. The sun is coming out. Outside steals inside. A spider seeking shelter, a box elder bug in the bath, a tiny snail on kale. Even rivers come inside, cool water rushing, eager to return to the sea. I'm here, outside says. I miss you. And outside waits. And we answer. Isn't that beautiful? Now I know we can't really go outside because it's kind of cold and snowy right now, but hopefully soon we can go outside and enjoy the weather and enjoy outside. Even in the snow in winter, we can enjoy outside. Now, I'm very excited that Legler Regional has finally reopened after being closed for about a year for renovation to expand all of our services to people on the west side and throughout the city of Chicago. Now, we are going to go on a little tour to show you all of the exciting new things that you can do here at Legler Regional. See you soon.
Hello CPL and welcome to Legler Regional Library, our West Side Regional. I want to congratulate the staff of Legler Regional for all their hard work and dedication in making Legler Regional our third and probably best regional library. And I'm sitting here in the second floor in front of the Carrie James Marshall piece, Knowledge and Wonder. And we're very excited to also introduce the new Legler Regional Director, Miss Shiloh Jefferson.
Thank you, Jason. Welcome, CPL. I'm so excited to be here at our very first and our third regional library in front of the beautiful Carrie James Marshall piece, and I can't wait for all of you to be able to come and join us here at Legler. We're excited for our new media space, our maker lab, our amazing computer lab, and most importantly, our artists in residence program that will be featuring the Carrie James Marshall piece and the other art pieces that we have here at Legler. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you enjoy your tour.
Welcome to Second Saturday. I'm so excited because I am here with Cozbi Cabrera. She's an artist, she's an illustrator, she's an author, she makes dolls. She is an amazing person, and I'm so honored that you could join us. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Josh. The pleasure and the honor is all mine. Hi, families. Hi, kids.
So, Cosby, you were just recognized with like a bunch of honors, which I didn't even mention when I was introducing you. And so a bunch of recent work, including a book that we have on our 2020 Best of the Best list for Chicago Public Library. It's called Exquisite. It's the poetry and life of Gwendolyn Brooks. You got a Coretta Scott King illustrator honor. I am so excited, and it's such a wonderful book. It's so fitting. I wanted to ask you, what kind of attracted you to working on that book?
Yeah, I got an email from Tamar Bracis, at the time was the editor of the book. During the project, it went to Courtney Code, who's currently at Abrams. But Gwendolyn Brooks was a name that I was familiar with as a child growing up in Brooklyn. And I always thought of her poetry as sort of like a little bit formal, because I was exposed to her sonnets really early on. And so I thought, oh my God, what a wonderful opportunity. The name of a poet that I much admire, but really didn't have a lot of background information about her life. So I thought this would be a great time and a great opportunity to learn more about Gwendolyn Brooks.
She's incredible. Gwendolyn Brooks, we always talk about her kind of as a sort of a hometown hero, right? Because she lived in the Bronzeville neighborhood, of course. Yeah. I'm curious if you kind of learned anything sort of interesting or unique about her that you didn't know before while working on the book?
Oh, totally. I didn't think in terms of her placement in time, for example, when she was born, and the fact that she grew up in a very segregated Chicago because of the housing covenants, and so this hotbed called Bronzeville, was a certain mile radius, and there was so much going on, even with the Savoy, the Regal, rather, the theater, and the Harlem Renaissance poets were alive at the same time, and she actually went through the Great Depression. So there's just so much going on, just in terms of the time that she lived, that really was a major sort of foment and influence in her life and her work.
That's awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about, talk for our families about the process you use, maybe illustrating this book, or illustrate in general, what your kind of process is as you illustrate a book from start to finish?
So it starts with the receipt of a manuscript. And in this case, I make certain that I don't overread a manuscript. I take a really good cursory glance at it, because I don't want images starting to sort of play in my head so early on. Sure. And so that when I actually go to start sketching it, I like to sort of read it so much more thoroughly, and then see what sort of comes up. And so I don't want to spoil it. I didn't want to spoiler alert by overreading, but I did absolutely love the language of the manuscript. This book was written by Suzanne Slade, who also hails from Chicagoland. And I just remember being so moved and impressed with the rhythm of her storytelling. And I said, oh, this is definitely something that I'm excited to work on, and so I start with a good, careful reading of the manuscript. And as I'm doing that, I'm preparing what I call thumbnails, which are tiny little drawings, frame by frame action. Yeah, so the thumbnails is a really great opportunity for me to see where I need to do further research because not everything, I don't know enough. No artist knows enough to just go straight, from the head to the hand and the page. So there's some interim steps that need to take place. So after I submit all of my little thumbnails, I then sort of edit them to think up what is the best way to represent this now that I've sort of honed in on the idea. And lots of times I'll think of like maybe 5 or 6 ways to approach it, in terms of perspective or what it is that I want to highlight and what I care to show. And then when I'm pleased enough with it and I feel that it flows really well, I then submit it to the publisher. And the publisher will take a look, maybe do some fact checking to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction, and perhaps even show it to the author. And I need to let you know that oftentimes in publishing, authors and illustrators don't meet. And so the thinking is that oftentimes the author may have an idea in mind and wind up sort of like pushing for it without even realizing it, or influencing the illustrator and not necessarily getting the best from that illustrator who's like doing sort of their own read and using their own imagination. So we wind up getting bottled or kind of pushed into a corner rather than exploring all of the many varied and best ways to represent something visually. So oftentimes at that point, the point of these sketches, that the publisher will then present it to the author to get a thumbs up, or these are my concerns. And Suzanne Slade did a tremendous amount of research, but I was careful not to borrow against her notes because, again, I needed to sort of like take a fresh eye, to things. And then once we're kind of all decided that we're on the same page and moving in a really great direction is when I go to paint. And I'm just gonna hold up a tiny little something here. Just so that kids or families can get an idea about scale. So this was the title page.
Wow.
And as you can see, it gets quite sizable. And I like to work a little larger because I always feel that it's better to go smaller in the final, reduce down a little bit, and things have a way of tightening up. So here's another, I don't know if you can see that.
Incredible.
Yeah. And so these are like maybe 2 of the smaller pieces. I'm going to see if I can pull up something that's, here we go. So here's another example.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so I go to paint and then I submit those paintings and, they get scanned and then, they're able to reproduce them, check for color, check for contrast, check for all of the little things so that it reflects the original art a little more closely. And then they bind and ship, and it winds up in our many different independent bookshops and
Here it is.
our libraries, and the list goes on.
That's awesome. I wanted to, while we have a little more time, if I could ask you about another book that, of course, you got a Caldecott honor on as well, is Me and Mama, that you wrote and illustrated, right?
Yeah.
Would you be able to share briefly, like, kind of your inspiration or your starting point from this one?
Yeah, oddly enough, it was just a moment in time where my daughter was asking me. She didn't even ask me. She wanted to do something nice for me. So she took my favorite cup that I had purchased from an Argentine bakery that was going out of business and selling off their odds and ends. And I drank everything out of the cup. And so she took my cup one day and like took it to the water cooler and then used her little hands to squeeze the spigot to fill it. And that's when it sort of like tumbled off the edge and went kaboom, crash, bang, And I just wanted to record that moment in time because when we're growing up, we don't do everything perfectly despite our best intentions. And I just wanted to record those string of moments, those everyday moments, so that we don't lose sight and track of like all that's happening in a little mind, because for little people, every day it's like really an adventure, Like the world is new, right? The world
yeah. That's well, I think you totally captured that kind of inspiration in the book. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Before we sign off and say goodbye, I wonder, could I ask you if there's anything you're like working on now or next up or anything?
Yeah, so I'm working on a book about Edna Lewis, who is an amazing Southern cook who understood that Southern cooking as we have come to understand it with like fried goodies is not really Southern cooking, that they really were farm to table, using things seasonally. And she had just a really fascinating life. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on Me and Papa.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. And I'm working on something that's was written by Leslie Honoré called Brown Girl, Brown Girl. Yeah. And yeah,
I'm so excited.
Well, thank you. So am I.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. It really was such an honor to get to chat with you today.
Oh, mine, Josh. Oh, mine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again. And we can't wait to see what you have next in store. All right.
All right, then. Have a great one.
You too.
Hello, I'm Ms. Tamlin from Woodson Regional Library, named after the father of Black history and what is now known as Black History Month. I'm here with Ms. Leslie, and today we'd like to highlight two of our favorite Best of the Best series featuring Black characters with an interest in science, technology, engineering, art, and math, otherwise known as STEAM. Today's activity is also in honor of Yvonne Young Clark, the first Black woman to receive a mechanical engineering degree from Howard University. You can learn more about Ms. Clark in Changing the Equation, 50 plus U.S. Black Women in STEM, also a 2020 Best of the Best title. The images used for this program are intended to supplement and reference today's awesome activity. All images are used with permission from Picture Window Books and Little Simon Publishing Companies. One of my favorite series is the CPL 2018 Best of the Best series, Craftily Ever After. This series, written by Martha Maker, features a multicultural quartet of 8-year-old super crafty friends, each with their own interests in designing, building, and creating. Each book is centered on one character who showcases their talents and interests. Today's activity comes from Book 4, The Dream Machine. This book is centered on Bella, a gadget and technology whiz who loves building and programming. With the help of her friends, Emily, Sam, and Maddie, Bella finds the courage to design, build, and test a robot for entry in a robotics competition. Although there is no programming involved in this activity, Ms. Leslie is going to teach us how to build a car using some of the recyclable materials in the book to build a balloon-powered car.
Step 1, take your water bottle, take one straw and one wooden skewer, place the skewer down into the straw to it's even on both sides, like that. Then, with the water bottle, take the straw and the skewer at the bottom, securely. So I start off first, taping it furthest towards the lid at the bottom of the bottle with a couple pieces of tape. I will repeat this same way on the bottom half of the bottle with the next straw and skewer. That's taping it further down the bottom part of the bottle. You see you have both on there evenly to make up your axle. 3. Step 2. Take your 4 bottle cap lids and take your screwdriver or your nail and make a hole through the center of the lid top. And when you make the hole to go through, make sure you twist it around a little bit to open it up. So make a hole through each one of your bottle caps through the center with your screwdriver or your nail. And as you make it go through, you just twirl it around a little bit to make sure you have a nice size hole. And there you go with all 4 of them. Step 2, take your 4 bottle cap lids and take your screwdriver or your nail and make a hole through the center of the lid top. And when you make the hole to go through, make sure you twist it around a little bit to open it up. So make a hole through each one of your bottle caps through the center with your screwdriver or your nail. And as you make it go through, you just twirl it around a little bit to make sure you have a nice size hole. And there you go with all 4 of them. Okay. Okay, now step 3. Take your bottle cap lids with the hole in the center and place them through the wooden skewer on each side of your axles. That's one of them. The second one. The third one. And the 4th one. Make sure your lids fit nicely and tight on there. And you can flip your car over and see you have your wheels now and your axles to begin the process of making your balloon powered race car. Now with step 4, at the top of your water bottle near the lid area, punch a hole at the top with your screwdriver or your nail. Try to hold the bottle secure so it doesn't buckle too much in, and try and make a hole at the top area towards the lid area. You make your hole and then twist the screwdriver or the nail around in there so you have a nice size hole to be able to place the next thing in there, which will be your flexible straw. Step 5, place your flexible straw in the hole you just made at the top of your bottle. If the bottle is not opening, if the straw is not able to go down into the bottle, just take your screwdriver, your nail, and try and open up the hole a little bit more. Now, go down, take your flexible straw with the flexible part sticking out, and stick it down into your bottle. Now with step 4, at the top of your water bottle near the lid area, punch a hole at the top with your screwdriver or your nail. Try to hold the bottle secure so it doesn't buckle too much in, and try and make a hole at the top area towards the lid area. You make your hole and then twist the screwdriver or the nail around in there so you have a nice size hole to be able to place the next thing in there, which will be your flexible straw. Step 5, place your flexible straw in the hole you just made at the top of your bottle. If the bottle is not opening, if the straw is not able to go down into the bottle, just take your screwdriver, your nail, and try and open up the hole a little bit more. Now, go down, take your flexible straw with the flexible part sticking out and stick it down into your bottle. Now, for step 7, take the lid off the front of your bottle, put it to the side, and push your flexible straw through the front opening of the bottle. Push it through as much as you can, because you're going to have to be able to blow through there to blow up the balloon. So push through as much as you can to have as much support to be able to blow up your balloon. Okay, now for step 8. With your straw, flexible straw sticking out of the opening of the water bottle, you take it and blow through there to inflate your balloon. Now let's go.
So how does it work? The air pressure stretches the balloon and is stored as something called potential energy. This means the energy is waiting to do something. Once the pressure is released, it becomes kinetic energy or moving energy. The air moves backwards, causing the car to push forward. This is a physics principle called the third law of motion. For every action, there is an opposite reaction. To learn more about energy and motion, check out these great titles. To check out the books referenced in today's program, to learn more about the science behind today's activity, or to learn about Black women in STEM, visit www.chipublib.org to check out ebooks, or visit us at Carter G. Woodson Regional Library and pick up a hard copy.
From March through November, a team of children's librarians and library associates meet up every month to talk about new books. We ask ourselves lots of questions like, did we learn anything new or interesting? Will you see yourself in this book, or will it help you see the world through someone else's eyes? And is it exciting to read? The books that we think are the very best of the best are the books you'll find when you visit the Kids Best of the Best page on the Chicago Public Library website. And now, without further ado, here are a few of the books we thought were the very best books published in 2020. Hello friend, hola amigo. You might remember the Latin Grammy-winning authors of this sing-along bilingual English-Spanish board book from their second Saturday performance. Now you can keep singing along at home. The Old Truck, written by Jarrett Pumphrey, illustrated by Jerome Pumphrey. On a small farm, a young girl imagines all sorts of adventures for herself and the old family truck. Together they sail the sea, chase the stars, and stretch their imaginations. Older and older they grow, the seasons change, and the old truck is forgotten. Or is it? One day, a young farmer arrives, and she's got big plans for her old friend truck. Dream big, work hard, and anything is possible. Mindy Kim and the Yummy Seaweed Business, written by Lila Lee, illustrated by Dong Ho. Mindy Kim is facing a lot of big changes in her life. A new house, a new school, and life without mom. Get ready to follow Mindy in a year of adventure at Wishbone Elementary. Mindy becomes a lunchroom entrepreneur with her favorite seaweed snack. But how will she make real friends? The series continues with Mindy Kim, class president, Mindy Kim and the birthday puppy, and Mindy Kim and the Lunar New Year. Drawing on the Walls, a story of Keith Haring, written by Matthew Burgess, illustrated by Josh Cochran. One day in the subway, Keith noticed blank panels where advertisements used to be. Suddenly, he zipped up to the street, bought a box of white chalk, dashed back downstairs, and began drawing on the walls. People paused as they rushed from here to there. For Keith, this was what art was all about. The moment when people see it and respond. Maybe it makes them smile. Maybe it makes them think. Maybe it inspires them to draw or dance or write or sing. This picture book biography of Keith Haring is the story of an artist who loved art and life. Haring's joyful murals brought out the artist in everyone, everywhere from New York to Chicago to Italy, and they might inspire you too. The Talk, Conversations about Race, Love, and Truth, edited by Wade Hudson and Cheryl Willis Hudson. Why are there racists? What does it mean to be a friend? What is privilege, and is it bad to have it? Some questions are hard to ask. Some talks aren't had at every dinner table. But these essays will help you, your friends, and the adults in your life start the kinds of talks worth having about race, identity, and self-worth. And don't forget to revisit some of our best of the best picks of previous years, where you'll discover funny read-alouds like Poco and the Drum, family mysteries like I Can Make This Promise, bold adventures like Drawn Together, and school stories like The Usual Suspects, and so many more.
Welcome to Second Saturdays here at the Chicago Public Library. My name is Daily, Children's Librarian at the Independence Branch, and I am here today with the wonderfully talented illustrator, Jacqueline Alcántara. Thank you, Jacqueline, for joining us. Can you please tell us where you're joining us from?
Yeah, hi guys. Very happy.
Everyone, I think we might be having some technical difficulties with our interview with Jacqueline Alcántara. So I'm actually going to step in and tell you about another awesome Best of the Best book. This is one of my favorite books from 2020. It's called Crossings, Extraordinary Structures for Extraordinary Animals. And this was in the category informational books for younger readers. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this book. But before I do that, I need some help from you guys. I'm going to show you a little activity, but I need some help deciding which materials to use for our activity. Here on the board, you see I have some materials listed. I want you to comment which materials you want me to use, and I will use the top 3 materials that you put in the comments. So the options are wooden blocks, paper cups, craft sticks, rubber bands, straws, clothespins, paper plates, string, tape, and pipe cleaner. So please, in the comments, let me know which materials I should use. And I will tell you a little bit about this really cool book, Crossings. This book is about how people have been able to help animals throughout the world. You know, people need to get from one place to another. So all over the world, we've been building roads to help us travel from city to city. Unfortunately, sometimes those roads impact the animals that live in those habitats. Here you see like a little cougar that's kind of in the middle of a road, and a car there. Fortunately, people have become very conscious about this, and all over the world, people have started building crossings so that animals can safely cross from one place to another. And these crossings vary from place to place. Sometimes people will build tunnels that go under the roads. In this case, this is a road, or I'm sorry, this is a tunnel. through which penguins can travel under. Sometimes the crossings are really, really simple. For example, here in Costa Rica, they've suspended a simple rope across a highway, and that's how monkeys can travel over and across the highway. In a lot of instances, a bridge is the answer to get animals across the road. See here, this is a road in Singapore, and there's some pangolins crossing a bridge. So this is actually inspiring the activity we have for you today. And basically, it's a bridge building challenge. So as you can see here, I kind of like made a little bit of a road on my table, just using paper. And I have some animals here. And I've given myself a challenge to build a bridge that goes over this road. And here I have some animals. These are not animals you'd probably see out in the wild crossing a road, but these are the ones I had. So these are the ones I'm using. And then here's the little car I have. So I want to build a bridge that goes over the road and is high enough for the car to cross over. So I'm gonna take the challenge, and I'm gonna see which materials you guys want me to use. Let's see, what materials do you guys want me to use? Clothespins and paper plates, okay. Oh, perfect. I have like a stack of paper plates and clothespins here and rubber bands. So I'm gonna start with these three materials and see how far I can go. But I'm not sure if our interview with Jacqueline is ready to go. If it is, maybe we can go to it and then you can come back to me and I'm going to start building. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to start building with these materials that you suggested for me. So here I have some clothespins. And this is an activity you can do at home with any materials you have at home. I'm giving myself the extra challenge to try to build my bridge without putting a support in the middle of the road. Sometimes in real life, you have limitations on how you can build. So I'm going to try to make the bridge go from here to here with nothing supporting it in the center. So that might be a little extra challenging, but I'm going to try it and see how I do.
Hey, John.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm just trying to build this bridge for my little farm animal friends who want to cross over.
All right. Yeah, you got wood blocks also as a suggestion and paper cups. But while you're building that, we'll give the interview one more shot. We'll see if we can get it to go.
Yeah, I'll see how much progress I can make.
All right.
Days here at the Chicago Public Library. My name is Daily, Children's Librarian at the Independence Branch. And I am here today with the wonderfully talented illustrator, Jacqueline Alcántara. Thank you, Jacqueline, for joining us. Can you please tell us where you're joining us from?
Yeah, hi guys. Very happy to be with you guys. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm from Chicago, but I'm living for the moment in Detroit. So I am coming to you guys from just a few hours away.
Very cool. So today we love all of your work. We do want to highlight your beautiful work on Freedom Soup, which is a Chicago Public Library Best of the Best selection, meaning our children's librarians. We're so excited about this book. It met all the criteria, and we would love to know about your work on Freedom Soup. Like, what was your process? What was your inspiration? I noticed that the color yellow is very predominant or very present in the book. So can you please tell us about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, interesting that you picked up on the color yellow. I feel like the book overall has an interesting palette, which means the colors that, you decide to put into a piece. And the yellow for me came from one of the most important parts of the book, which is the pumpkin. So this soup is a pumpkin-based soup. So kind of like a butternut squash, it turns this beautiful yellow color. So when I'm starting to try to figure out what colors to use, I think a lot about I start with just details that are in the book. So naturally for me, it started with the ingredients in the book, but then also the place. So I wanted to I also thought a lot about the colors in terms of Haiti. So I wanted, and I know there's a little bit of a glare, so I'm trying to figure out which way to put this page so we could see it better. But I wanted while the book is set in the United States, the story of Freedom Soup is about a tradition in Haiti. So I wanted to tie in the feeling and the vibe, you know, like the tropical vibe and the colors and the foliage and the whole sense of Haiti and the culture there. So I wanted the kitchen to feel very kind of like we're being transported to this place. So I wanted a really bright blue to kind of be like the sky. And then I did some, you know, the terracotta tiles, you know, it's also the orangey from the pumpkin, you know, kind of when it starts to get cooked, but also just a tile that you see often in the Caribbean. So that's some of the reasons I chose some of the colors for that are inside.
It's a very bright, colorful book. It's very joyous, and it's very celebratory. So it celebrates, you know, very important traditions. What's your general process for illustrating books?
Sure. You know, I have some of the final artwork from Freedom Soup with me that I could share with you guys, but I don't have the sketches on hand. But I can show you guys a little bit of the process of a one that I'm working on now, because it's the same process that I do for most books. So I start coming up with ideas for each of the pages on teeny tiny little Post-it notes, just like this. So this is called like a thumbnail. So a teeny tiny drawing, almost the size of your thumbnail. And then once you get all of your ideas out, you go through everything and you figure out what ideas are working best. And then you start to make those into bigger sketches, right? So maybe, you know, something that's going to be along the lines, the size of the final paper. I've skipped quite a few steps here, of course, because a big part of it is figuring out what you want your characters to look like, figuring out what story you want to tell with the pictures, you know, because in books and in most illustration, the words tell half the story and the pictures tell the other half of the story. So we don't necessarily want to tell the same story that the words are saying. We want to add to it. We want to add more information. So we have to think a lot about what characters we want to look like, what skin color they are, what their hair is going to look like, what they're going to wear. And of course, it has to be true to the story, but we get a little liberty as illustrators to kind of pick what we want the illustrations, the story to tell. So I do the sketch, and then I go and move to final artwork. So right now, this is a sneak preview of a book I'm working on. It's actually a follow-up to The Field, which was the first book I did. So you can see the sketch here. And then now this, I'm just starting. So, but I start with a pencil doing an outline, and then I add marker, which you can see I have a desk full of markers here. And so then I just do layers and layers and layers of markers. And then I'll add gouache, which is kind of like watercolor, which I could show you guys. But I know you know what paint looks like. But tubes of paint, tubes of gouache. I do a little bit to add some texture and to add some really bright colors. And then I bring it into, it's pretty much done at that point, but then I'll kind of tweak it in Photoshop, adjusting some colors, adding some things. So that's my general process. But
very cool.
Yeah. Each book is different though. But for Freedom Soup, it's pretty much exactly, you know, the finals, which I could show. I'll show you guys the cover. I have it right here.
Wow.
So you could see it looks very close to the cover of the book. Maybe a couple tiny things are different if I have to fix little tiny pieces. But I don't know if you guys can see this is all made with exactly the materials that I just mentioned. So marker, gouache, pencil.
Wow. That's very great. So is the very last step is the gouache, or can you go in like with the pencil, for example, or markers, like after you've done some painting?
Yeah, I can go back in with, I have a pretty messy process. You know, it's not too scientific. A little of this, a little of that. You know, this area needs more. You go back and add some more. Marker doesn't pick up so nice on top of paint, but I usually go back and add pencil to add some more texture on top of the gouache. So these are the kind of three materials I really like to work with together. I feel like they combined, you get, the best of all worlds. Like the texture of paint, the, markers are just super fun to work with, and you don't have to mix colors. Like sometimes I'm just like, I want to do it faster. I want to like pick the color, get it down. And then now with Photoshop, I don't know if anybody out there likes to work in like drawing on their iPad or drawing on the computer. I love that too. So I explore all options.
That's great. Thank you for sharing your process and for giving us a sneak peek on what you're working on right now. I'm really excited, and we're all looking forward to the next book. What are your connections to Chicago?
Oh, well, I was born and lived in Chicago pretty much my whole life. So a pretty big connection there.
Mhm.
I certainly hope and plan to be back in Chicago very soon. But I love the city. I love, every side of the city. Has amazing things to offer, from the museums and libraries to just the art everywhere, to the people, to the music. I mean, it's just, to me, it's the best city on earth.
And how does your experience or any aspect of your life here in Chicago, how does that inspire or inform your artwork?
Oh my goodness, in every which way, right? We're inspired constantly by just our daily life. I think that just the warmth of people in Chicago, the, interest in music and art, and, like literally the art that we see on the streets is a big inspiration to me. I lived in Pilsen for a long time and hope to be back there soon. I mean, every which way you look, there's art and there's creative people, and there's just, a sense of appreciating all of these things. I feel lucky because my mom loved the city, and I grew up right by the Brookfield Zoo, but we would take the train in lots of Saturdays and go do little art classes at the Art Institute that they had, or we would go to the public library and go to the museum, or go to the children's section there because it's just gigantic and amazing. Or we would go and just walk around and eat, shop, just, have a great time. The lakefront, I mean, every corner of Chicago has inspiration in it for me.
That's great. And what can you tell our kids who are watching today, who may want to become, artists or illustrators themselves? What would you tell them that would inspire them more?
Oh my goodness. Well, the world needs your art, number one. Everybody has a completely different way of looking at the world, and everybody has completely different experiences. And the biggest part that you bring to, when you're illustrating something is your personal experiences and your personal view of the world. And nobody else is going to make what you make, no matter how hard you try. Or no matter if you think somebody else has a better style or is more experienced. In illustration, it doesn't matter. All styles are needed. All levels are needed. There's nobody that can tell your story better than you either. So, if it's best to start by trying to write down your own story and illustrating that way, because nobody's going to tell it better than you can.
That's great. Thank you for those inspirational words. I'm going to ask you a question that maybe some of our kids will be wondering, and I love asking this question to artists and illustrators. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Oh, what a lovely color. Oh, see, it's my favorite color also. I love it. Yes.
I think specifically, like, not exactly this blue, a little bit less green. There's like, this is a little bit more green in it but actually I have two favorite blues. One is like a pure sky blue, like almost a baby blue, but a little bit richer. And then like even more green than this, but a little bit lighter. And that was like from the color of the walls of my grandma's house. My dad's from Honduras. And so visiting there, I just love, her whole house was this aqua color. It was beautiful. And I've loved it ever since. So I think two shades of blue are my favorite colors.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, I love I love the blue of that kitchen as well.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this blue, and you know what? It reminds me everything of life on an island, specifically like on a Caribbean island. And that color that you chose was perfect. It reminded me of the sea and the sky. So
Yeah.
very, very well done. I'm
Awesome.
so glad that we like the same color.
Oh, thank you.
That's great. So, is there anything that you can share about what you're working on right now, other than the drawing that you just showed us?
Let's see what else I have around. Well, I mean, maybe you guys can see behind me, but so when I'm working on a book, I like to hang up a lot of the pieces that I'm working on, just to be able to see them like all in a row. So here I have hanging kind of the originals that I have worked on so far. I don't think I'm supposed to share these, but I'm gonna. Let's see which one we can grab. This one. So here's a couple that are a little bit more finished than the one I showed you, but still need quite a bit of work. So it's back in the tropics, back in the Caribbean. It's going to be the same character as the field, but totally different, or one of the same characters. So these are a couple from that. Other than this book, I'm working on some architectural illustrations, but I don't have those in front of me to share with you guys. But kind of totally different than the world of books. So I like to change it up. I like to work on a lot of different things.
Very cool. And I'm so glad that you said that. And I'm sure that our kids who are aspiring artists or are artists right now can take that as inspiration to do anything you want with your art.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Said, anything you want. The world
absolutely.
Needs your art.
I'm always trying to find, trying to get into this area or that area. Because, it's never, I guess it's just a lifelong process, right? Of figuring out what you love to create and how you love to create it. And that's the fun of it, because it's like, you're always figuring it out, and you always figure out a lot more about yourself in the process. But.
That's so great. One last question. Can you remember or recall the first book where you saw yourself in the book?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Maybe one of your favorite children's books that you read growing up.
I feel like the question of when you saw yourself in a book is a really hard one, because there wasn't, I don't feel like I did actually see, have a book that I was actually like, this is me, now there's a lot more books out there that I probably would be able to have that connection with. But my mom was a teacher. She was a third grade teacher, bilingual, English and Spanish. So she loved books. So we had a lot of awesome books in the house, probably more variety than most, like maybe home libraries do. But still nothing that comes to mind of exactly being like, you see yourself in this. I feel like it was probably later, and maybe in like longer, like novels or something where I kind of made connections like that. But books that I loved growing up, when I was really little, I made my mom read Goodnight Moon to me every night and every morning. So it's I still have it, but it's basically like, disintegrating at this point. It got so much use. But I loved Chris Van Allsburg, just the mysterious worlds that he could create with illustrations. I loved Roald Dahl. I think I liked, fantasy stuff, different worlds that you just could escape into. Like slightly weird,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Worlds. Those are the ones that come to mind as being some of my favorites. But yeah, so
That's
many.
awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And I think that's all the questions that we have for you today. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your time with us and your artwork, and for inspiring our Chicago kids. and we enjoy your work here at Chicago Public Library, and we continue to look forward to your next book.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for
Jacqueline.
having me. I'll come back anytime. Happy to.
Okay.
Hopefully
Thank
in
you.
person sometime soon.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That was a great interview, Aldo. I'm so glad we were able to have so many special guests today.
Yeah, both Jacqueline and Cozbi. We're really happy to have them. And sorry about the technical difficulties, but we might be able to put the interviews up on our YouTube channel without the little mess ups and blips. But John, how's it going?
Pretty good. I built this little bridge. It's high enough for my car to pass through, and I don't have any supports in the middle, which is what I wanted. I haven't tested it out yet, but I will do that right now. I want to make sure it's actually strong enough for our animals to cross through. If I had more time, I'd make like a path going down here for them to cross, but I'm going to see if it'll hold my little pig friend here. Let's see. Let's see how well I did. Oh, no. I guess it wasn't strong enough, but that's okay. If I had more time, I would rebuild it, kind of figure out what I need to improve, and just kind of think through how to improve my design. And this is totally an activity you can do at home. And I forgot to mention that the book that inspired this activity was written by Katie S. Duffield and illustrated by Mike Orodan. And this is a book that you can find on our Best of the Best list on our website.
Awesome. So I know you're creating a bridge for animals. So can you tell us a little bit about next month's second Saturday?
Yeah, that's a great tie-in to our next second Saturday, which is going to be on Saturday, March 13th. And our theme is going to be animals. So we're actually going to have some special guests. We have guests from Animal Quest who are going to be joining us. And we actually have some guests from the Lincoln Park Zoo that are going to join us. We're going to have human guests as well as animal guests. So I hope you guys will all tune in and meet some of our animal friends next month.
Yes, and for all the families and kids at home, bring your pets. I'm sure they'll enjoy the program as well. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, Maria and Shiloh, and our two special illustrators who joined us as well, and also all the staff at Woodson Library. So thank you so much. We'll see you next month, and we'll have a bunch of animals that'll be joining us as well. So take care. Bye.